Here's a windscreen replacement on a Kitfox Model 2. This one was built in 92, first flew in 93, so it's 31, 32 years old. And although I probably could have left it, it's not an out-of-control job to replace this, so I figured let's go ahead and do it. There's a little bit of stress cracking between the top and the front of the windscreen where that tight curve happens, right by the front wing bolt where you fold the wings there. So drilled out all the rivets. Wasn't too bad getting the rivets drilled out. Some of them had spun on me and had to deal with that a bit, but got them out. And from the original builder here, a very good friend of mine, I got some Clecos from him for transferring the old windscreen over to the new piece of polycarbonate. And I figured if I could keep it as flat as possible, it'll make it the best. Here I am realizing that the old windscreen is approximately 38 inches wide by 48 and 5/8 of an inch long. So that means I'm only going to be able to get one windscreen out of that entire 4x8 sheet of polycarbonate. So I guess in 31 years from now I'm going to have to buy another sheet of polycarbonate, but that's okay. So drilling holes out, again, keeping everything as flat as possible. I figured the better I can transfer this over, the better luck I'm going to have putting the new windscreen onto the airframe. So eventually put it on the floor, got right on top of it. Again, just kept it as flat as I could, and drilled and Clecoed it in. The Clecos worked really well. They hooked into the sheet of plywood and held everything nice and tight. There's the rest of the holes in, and there's just a basic transfer over with a Sharpie. And there's the old windscreen gone. And I cut the new piece with a jigsaw and a fine-tooth blade. I think it was a metal blade that I used, and but cut okay. Some of the tight corners obviously got a little bit hard to cut, so I used a step drill on the tight inside radius corners, just to try and smooth things out a little better if able. And then sanded the edges, just deburred all the edges where I cut. One edge I didn't have to cut at all. It was on the factory edge, which was fine. And I believe I deburred the holes. Yeah, I just used a deburr tool and went through the 55 or 60 rivet holes, knock any burrs off. And yeah, that is the weather stripping. There's a piece of weather stripping that goes across the crossover tube there of the frame between the wings, to keep the polycarbonate off the steel. So I replaced that, and here there's the new weather stripping, and here I am putting the new one in. I just peeled back the inside protective layer of the poly quickly, and then Clecoed it in place at the back side, and I just checked to verify that everything was still looking good on the holes as best as I could, aside from the front side of the windshield, and everything was good. So I went ahead and started riveting the entire back strip of the windshield in place. And there's the inside cover, protective cover. Took that off, and there I am. Right side's already riveted. There's the left side of the aircraft all riveted in place. And here's where I realized that 1/8 by 1/8 rivets were not going to be long enough to go through the trim and the tab on the frame. So I had to find some longer rivets, or maybe 1/8 by well, I didn't even measure them, call it 1/8 by half rivets. You just needed, in this case for this kit, I needed 4 longer rivets for each side. Fortunately, I had some kicking around here, and there it is. There it's all riveted in place, protective film taken off, and I took a heat gun and just heated up those edges a little bit and set the cowl in place. The cowl kind of determines whether it's going to work, but it sat in there okay. And here's the most part: I earned myself a beer at the end of this project. Thanks.